Good morning. We are live at 1950 South Shepherd.
Good
for Women's
morning.
Wellness Wednesday.
Good morning. Good morning, Kugawana.
Miyakit.
Bueno. That's Kickapoo. Good morning.
Awesome.
Pivishivit is a good day. I know that.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Cheyenne, right?
Cheyenne.
Yep.
The language is hard.
It is.
It is. I had to. What did I say yesterday? I said Arapaho in Arapaho
Inanane.
language, and like just the pronunciation of the words. You know,
Yep.
they take. I'm sure they take a lot of practice for someone that is learning.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it is kind of hard. I learned a lot of the hymns in Arapaho, and so whenever I try to learn the Cheyenne hymns, I get them mixed up. So it's like a mixture of Arapaho and Cheyenne.
Really?
Belva Hicks, the late Belva Hicks.
Oh, Belva.
I used to sing with her at church, and I used to have one of her CDs. And I'm not Arapaho, you know, I'm Cheyenne, but like I would sing those all day long.
That's awesome.
So now trying to learn Cheyenne, I get the punctuation?
Yeah.
Like
the dialect.
Yeah, the dialect of it mixed up still.
Yeah. Belva was a beautiful singer.
Yeah.
Man, she was good. Love hearing her
I
sing.
feel like it would be hard to go back and forth, you know what I mean? I know in Head Start they teach the kids some songs in Arapaho and some songs in Cheyenne.
Mm-hmm.
Josie was, like, it was impressive to me, her ability to pronounce the words with her still, like, you know, she still can't really say her R's very good and things like that. So I feel like you need to be able to, in order to say some of those words, you know?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's cool. The kids, they love it, though. Ashton loves Arapaho. We talk it every morning. We say Niyakit, you know, to each other.
Good.
He says Ashton the Nananal, which means my name is Ashton. So we go through our little ritual every morning, talking a little bit of Arapaho because it was our goal to learn more Arapaho this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but he loves it. And the kids love it. They really do.
Hi, Shirlene.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh my gosh. So, Desi and Theta did Women's Wellness for us last week because it was spring break and I had 4 kids at home and just things were crazy, but they did great. And I'm happy to hop back on here today and talk about, you know, all the good things. So we will get into this meditation in just a few. How's everyone feeling this morning?
Man, I feel really good. My rest wasn't great, but I still feel good today. So I like that. I don't know. I've been asking Creator to give me more vision, you know, to open my eye gates, to open my ear gates, so that I can understand and have a heart for what He has a heart for.
Mm-hmm.
And man, since I've been praying that prayer over my life, like the dreams have been like nonstop.
Really?
Nonstop. I've been dreaming and dreaming and dreaming and dreaming. And I'm not talking about just like simple dreams. They're vivid. Like
Wow.
so much detail. So much
Wow.
detail.
That's awesome.
So, it's been cool.
That's awesome.
It's been really cool to hear Him answer it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of things that happen for us spiritually will manifest in our rest and our sleep.
Mm-hmm. I believe that too.
That makes sense. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's been an interesting couple of months for me. You know, Tatum and I, you know, we're good friends. We talk. been struggling a little bit. But immediately when I walk into this space with all these awesome women, like I could feel the shift of energy. Like, and it feels good to be here. I'm glad to be here with my sisters, and hopefully we can inspire some ladies out there and talk about some good things.
Yeah, for sure.
Hip hop things.
Yeah.
I'm glad both of you girls are here today.
How's Tatum?
Oh, how
With
is
all your good
Tatum?
things going on around you.
Yeah, she's got some big changes.
World.
Well, you know, with good things that come, there's always going to be hurdles. And I think that those are tests from the creator to see, see what you can handle sometimes. And things have not been working out how I thought they were, or how I thought they would. It has been a roller coaster of ups and downs for me over the last week, but I'm feeling pretty good.
Good.
Overall. I know that everything is going to work out how it should,
Yep.
Yeah, last week. Oh, Lord. I got back in therapy yesterday. Started.
Good.
That's good.
Good.
Yes.
That's a big deal
It is.
to take care of yourself in that manner.
Mm-hmm. Your mental health is so important.
And I had an appointment for over spring break, and they canceled it because the provider was going to be out. And that was a little bit discouraging, like, man, I'm trying to heal and, be better, but there's these roadblocks essentially. And I'm like, so anyways, they called me day before yesterday, and they were like, we have this last minute opening, and but it's in Clinton. And I was like, absolutely, put me down, and I think that this is just going to be my intake. So I go into the room, and he's like, you're going to tell me everything that you can about your life for the next hour and 30 minutes. And I was like, okay. So we got into it. He asked me questions. We just talked about my life all together, and then the things that I still struggle with today. And when I left there, I felt so free. And we talk about our life and our struggles on here just daily in recovery. We share, we get honest, like that's what we do, and but there was something about sitting there and talking about my life from start to finish with him that just was such a release, And I had that drive home from Clinton, that hour-long drive, and man, I was just jamming out. Like, I was singing at the top of my lungs.
Felt
Like,
good to let it go, huh?
yes, it felt great. So I'm looking forward to what this is going to do for my life,
Good.
prioritizing that. And then eventually Josie will be in therapy with me as well. So
That's awesome.
yeah. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Laura.
Morning, Laura, Frida,
Frida.
Miss Jen. Aw, Frida says y'all are inspiring and I love you. We love you too.
We love you.
Morning, David.
All right. Let's do this meditation.
Okay.
So it is March 26th, and we're in spring now. In our modern world today, we may seem like drowning men because of the loss of much of our spiritual tradition. Thomas Yellowtail Crow. Our spiritual tradition showed us the way to live in harmony, balance, and respect. The tradition taught us how to behave and how to conduct ourselves. The spiritual way taught us to pray and to purify ourselves. Handed down from generation to generation were the teachings about a way of life. Our relationship to Mother Earth and to each other was very clear. The modern world does not relate to spirituality, but to materialism. If we do not allow spirituality to guide our lives, we will be lost, unhappy, and without direction. We are spiritual beings. To be human, not human beings trying to be spiritual. It is said, know thyself. Grandfather, lead me to spirituality.
That's a good one.
I like that. Trying to think of how that relates to my life, you know. I've never been a materialistic person because I think that what we have is just in today, you know, and we have what we need. You know, I always have what I need, but not too much. Um, I heard something this week that really stuck with me, and he said, one of my biggest fears is dying with everything that I've learned and that I know inside of me, you know, and not,
Ooh, that is deep.
yes, and not
That's good.
being able to share that. But, you know, I feel like when you are living spiritually and you're able to do those things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and handling situations that used to baffle us, living in harmony, balance, and respect, it makes it a lot easier to handle those things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And just because someone else is out of harmony with themselves doesn't mean that you have to get out of harmony with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I handled the situation really well last week where I was being screamed at. And that's baffling, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for another adult to scream at you.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
But I just kind of sat there and I said, I understand that your feelings are hurt, but I don't have to allow you to treat me this way.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not, like, you know, normally I would want to yell back, I would want to cuss, I would want to hang up the phone, you know, but something about me just stayed calm
That's good.
because I know like what I can accept today.
Mm-hmm. You've set those boundaries.
Yes. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I find myself in
meditation.
situations and circumstances too, to where, and it's kind of like those God moments, you know, when He shows you your growth a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
like where you don't react the same way, you don't even have to respond, you know, because to me, I think there's a difference between responding and reacting.
Yes.
Mhm.
I think responding comes with a lot more maturity. Reacting comes out of emotion.
Right.
And I think when you get to a place where you're okay with yourself, you don't have to do either one of those things, because ultimately the relationship isn't between you and another person. It's between you and your higher power, like God, you know, and that comes around to like the end of that where it says to know thyself.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, to know thyself, to know who I am is to love who I am,
Mm-hmm.
the good and the bad. That means having constant relationship with the Creator. You know, as soon as I wake up in the morning, every single second, every single minute, every single hour in between, as soon as I open my eyes until I close my eyes, I have to be in constant communion with Him, because if I don't, then man, I'm going to go left, and I might go too far left, or I might go right, you know. And I know myself well enough without relationship with Him where those two roads can lead, if I'm not keeping my eyes on Him, if I'm not talking to Him constantly. You know, it makes me think of you know, some scripture. You know, when we pass away, none of these things that we build up materialize. We can't take with us.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't the real treasures. Our real treasures are our family. Our real treasures is the love that we have for one another, is the love that we show to one another. You know, and you said it. My biggest fear is passing away and holding on to all this knowledge. You know, we can't receive if we don't give away.
Right.
And if we're not sharing the truths, if we're not sharing the promises, if we're not sharing the gratitude, the thankfulness, because all those things are gifts from Him, to be able to stay in that constant reminder of Him, of the things that we have, you know, all the promises that are coming forth. You know, if we don't share those things, then we're even blocking our own selves off from the blessings that He has for us.
Right.
Because we're not giving him the glory, or we're not, um, talking about the testimonies, or we're not, because we overcome by the words of our testimonies. That's where we gain strength. And I'm finding that, man, and I keep saying this because, man, I believe it to my core that when I choose to heal, I give every single person outside of myself permission to heal too, the
Wow.
opportunity to heal. Because I don't know who you come in contact with, and I don't know who you come in contact with, and I don't know who Desiree comes in contact with, but I know that every single person, we have an impact on somebody's life, whether it be in here, outside these walls, or wherever we go to, so when we give ourselves that permission to heal and have that courage to walk in that strength, which people look at as weakness, that's when he comes in. And that's our strength right there. That's our strength, being able to share those vulnerable moments, being able to talk about going to therapy, being able to say, hey, yeah, my daughter's going to be joining in with me soon, my kids are doing the same thing with me. And so it all starts from the inside out. And it's wherever we're at. Like, bloom where you're planted.
Yes.
Bloom where you're planted. And just continue to share those things that, Creator's doing for you. And don't be afraid of it, man. The process, it's ugly sometimes and it hurts. Like, hey, man, it's not the best thing to go through, because you got to go through all those open wounds again. You got to go through you got to relive those circumstances. You got to relive those situations. But that's where the healing comes in. And then if we can get to the root of the cause of the thing, then it's cut off. We don't have to do it no more, unless we choose to.
Yeah.
Unless we choose to. And I don't know. That spoke to me a lot.
What a beautiful message.
Said, I know.
You spoke to me too. I needed to hear that.
Yes.
Yep. Good job, Cassandra. Good words.
Mental health is a very big thing for me. All things only through Father God, Creator, or our higher power. Healing from the inside out, and stay in faith and prayer. Yes. Good morning, everyone. Man, healing.
It's constant.
You might think that like you've healed from something. I feel like my healing journey has been beautiful and ugly and hard and simple all at the same time, And last week, Darian had me work on a list of my lived experiences. And so we are listing the things that, my 8 years of domestic violence and, experience with sexual assault and my substance abuse and my mental illness, my mental health, So seeing all of those things on paper was different for me than just knowing that those things are a part of my story. And I felt like I began to heal from those things. And so, I've created such a peaceful life these days.
That's good.
That all of those things feel like a fever dream to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is kind of what I've been processing over the last week, and then getting to talk about it with the therapist as well. Like those experiences, I have, and I'm able to talk about them now out loud, which I think is healing in itself.
It's hard to talk about abuse and trauma. It's hard. I remember the first time we spoke about it. Tatum and I both have been through domestic violence. I think you too. Yeah. We spoke together, but Tatum had to hold my hand. Like my daughter was there. I was speaking about her father. My sisters were there. My family members were there, and they had never really heard my story. And that was really hard to talk about. But after, like Tatum said, after I talked about it, I felt better.
I wasn't smiling at you, sister.
No,
I
it's
just,
okay.
My daughter chimed in. She said, "Mom, where you at?"
Just cute.
Where are you at, girl?
Checking in
Are
with
you
her
at
mama. Yeah. Get off that phone. I
I'm in
forgot you
total-
you did the Clinton one,
Mhm.
right? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
total agreement with that because, man, that was hard. And I've talked about my story of domestic violence
Mhm.
before and of sexual assault, but man, last year it was way different for me, and I struggled with it a lot more than at the time that I wanted to admit. And I struggled with it for a few months, and I don't know if it was the fact that I was back into my home area because I'm from Thomas. I grew
Yeah.
up in Thomas and in Weatherford, and so being there, man, I didn't realize how much fear I had of retaliation, of
Yep.
revenge, of like people gonna throw it in my face,
Yep.
And at the time, I was working on myself and going through, and I'm still working on myself. I'm going through all these changes, and like, why do I care what these people think of me so
Mhm.
much?
It's your story.
Yeah,
It happened to
it's
you.
Your testimony.
and so that was, and then my daughter was there too, and it's my oldest daughter, so she's seen so many things in
Mhm.
all those years of her life, and that's her truths.
Yep.
Those are her truths, and so I didn't realize how much that was going to affect her. I didn't realize how much that was going to affect me, and so it was really hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard.
Yep. It is. It's hard talking about the things that you went through with your child in the audience, who was also a part of that experience. My daughter, she was just a baby. I left my domestic violence situation when she was 9 months old, but she has been witness to her dad abusing other women, every woman that he's been with. So she knows. But for her to hear about what her mother went through, and she knew a little bit, but man, it's hard to talk about that in front of your kids.
Yeah.
It is. It is. But it at the same time, I feel like it was healing for both of us too. Probably the same for you and your daughter.
Yeah.
Josie was only from the time she was born until I left when she was 2. So she has some memories for when she was 2. Like, she'll talk about the daycare that she went to and things like that. And that's kind of crazy to me,
Mm-hmm.
Which as she gets older, those memories will start to fade, I feel like, But I was going through with the notes in my phone, just kind of trying to prepare for today. And I write a lot of poems. That's how I cope or let out my emotions sometimes in poems. Love that. um, but I wrote Josie a letter one time in my phone, like when I was trying to leave her dad,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that I needed to go, but I didn't have the strength or the courage to leave yet. And um, I recently heard something that said it takes someone like an average of
Mhm.
7 times to leave their, abusive, toxic relationship. And but I had written her a letter, like telling her about her worth, and talking about how she never has to let anyone treat her less than what she deserves. And so this morning, as I'm like braiding her hair and we're getting ready for school, a video comes up on the TV, and it's like she's watching YouTube, and it's like a teenage girl talking on the phone to her toxic boyfriend, and he's like, "Where do you think you're going, looking like that?" And she's like, "I'm going with my friends. We're having a little party or whatever," and he's like, "No, you're not. Like, without me." Like, no, you're not. And in like, for one, I'm listening to this video and she's clearly watching it. And um, that took me back to like my days in high school of domestic abuse. And like, I would get beat up for, wearing my shorts too short or wearing makeup. Like,
Yeah.
because makeup
Who
made
are
me
you
feel
trying
pretty.
to look good for?
Yeah. Who are
Yep.
you trying to look good for? When you look good, you feel good.
Yep.
And I stand on that.
And I can confidently say for almost every woman, we dress up for ourselves
Yeah, absolutely.
because we want to feel good. You know, we don't care what anyone else thinks.
Yes.
We want to wear what we want to wear because we feel good about ourselves, you know, not to impress anyone. But abusers use that. Mine use that a lot,
Mhm.
you know.
And so after this, we're watching this video, and I asked Josie, I said, "You would never like let a boy treat you like that, right?" She said, "Yeah, Mom, if I want to go somewhere, I'm going." And I was like, "Exactly, girl." And I'm thinking like, I said, even if someone claims to love you a whole lot,
Mhm.
even if they say this is out of love, this is why I don't want you to go out of love, that does not matter.
Mhm.
Someone that loves you only wants the best for you
Yep.
and wants you to do things that make you happy and that make you feel good.
Yep.
And if it's anything less than that,
It's not love.
don't accept it. And whether her 6-year-old, little mind can comprehend the messages between that, I feel like those are still little seeds
You're
being
planting
planted.
seeds. Yes.
Yes.
You are planting seeds that will grow.
Yes.
I can't. Josie's going to grow into a beautiful, strong woman.
Yeah, she is.
She is.
She's so fiery. Like, I'm like, as we're talking about this, I'm like, there's times when she's like, "No, this is what I'm going to do because I want to do it." And I'm just like, that's valid.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even fight with you.
You got to let them have a voice too. And decisions
Absolutely.
over their life at a young age is important, you know. And I that has been a struggle with me in my parenting journey is learning that because the way I grew up, you didn't have a voice, you know. You did what you were told, you were quiet, and you were out of sight. But learning to give my kids that ability to say, this is what I like, or this is how I feel, or you hurt my feelings, like that is so important. I love to see parents give their babies voices and power to speak. Because if you don't, that is a gateway to abuse too.
Mhm.
That's what just touching, just to touch base on that. That's what I've been trying to work with my girls too, because you know we don't know we're parenting wrong until we just don't know. Everybody's way is different,
Yeah.
and a lot of the years, I mean, my childhood, we didn't have a voice either
Mhm.
because not from my dad, but the caretaker that he was married to, she was super abusive.
Yeah.
And so we had to act one way when she was around my dad, and when he was gone, like it was a whole different scene.
Mhm.
And so that's what I'm just trying to tell my kids, like what you say matters. Like that's who you are. If you don't feel comfortable, and I didn't even start really practicing that until, man, I would say within like the last year and a half, because my working with my therapist showed me the error of my ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's constant learning.
And she said, you want your kids to be able to tell you when they're uncomfortable around people. And you can't shut that down.
Right.
Yeah.
And she said, what if somebody would have heard you when you said you were uncomfortable
Oh,
around
man.
a certain situation?
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
I got
That gave me chills.
goosebumps.
Yep.
Me
What if they
too.
listened to you?
Yep.
It probably would have saved you a lot of. It probably would have saved you a lot of pain.
Yep. Absolutely.
So remember, whenever you shut your kids down, you're shutting their voice down too, and we don't want to do that.
Mhm.
We don't want to do that. And I'm just like, wow, man. So it made me go back and like retrace, rethink all kinds of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, man, this could have been so different. This could have been so different. I can't change what happened in the past
Mhm.
for them or for me, but what I can do is change it now.
Yep.
And if I can change it now, their future looks a whole lot better than mine did whenever I was their age.
And they're learning from you, you know, as you're learning, as I'm learning. I mean, I had to apologize to my son a couple weeks ago. We had a talk and we were sitting in bed and we were talking, my son Dylan. And I said, I'm sorry, son, you know, I shouldn't have done that. And he's like, it's okay, Mom. He's like, it's your first time being a mom too. And I said, yeah, you know, I learn just like you guys do. I'm human. I make mistakes, and you know, it's important that we recognize that.
That's what I've been telling myself to heal with my mom. It
Mhm.
was her first time,
Yep. Yep.
no one laid out a map for her, no one laid out a map for us, you
Yeah.
know. So we're just learning with each new obstacle and experience that comes with that.
I think my mom gets hurt sometimes when I speak up about like my parenting techniques, and I tell her, reassure her, like I don't hold faults at any of my parent, my mom or dad. You know, like you said, it was their first time. My parents had a tremendous amount of trauma,
Yeah.
tremendous, and for them to raise 4 daughters, they really did do the best they could with what they had and what they knew. You know. And so I have to reassure my mom a lot. Like I love you, mom. I don't hold any fault to you. You know, and it's not about you. It's about me wanting to be a better parent, me learning. You know, me trying to advocate for really the kids in our tribal communities, so other people can have that shifted mindset of how are you treating your children. You know, that's my goal. You know, but my mom is fantastic. My dad is fantastic. We're having some issues right now, but I think we'll work through that. And but they really did the best they could, you know.
When I first started working with my sponsor, it was a rough time for me and my mom. Like, you know, I just started living with her. She was still drinking.
Oh, I bet that was tough, Tatum.
And yeah, it
'Cause
was.
you were newly sober, right?
Yes, newly sober. Man, I went to so many meetings in my early days of sobriety because in the evenings when she would come home, you know, and be getting ready to go do what she did, I was headed out to a meeting. And but my sponsor helped me to understand that more. Like we had so many talks about understanding that our parents did what they could, what you know, because I always thought like, man, I'm sitting here and I am choosing to do better for my child, but no one chose to do better for me, you know? And like I was sitting with so much hurt in that. And, but being able to understand, you know, it made it easier over time.
Yep.
So
I feel like the older you get to in your parenting journey, the more you relate to your parents. And for me anyway, like I'm like, oh, that makes sense. My mom lost her mom when she was 14 years old. You know, she didn't have any guidance after that. How hard must that have been for her, you know? And then to not have anyone to call, hey, mom, this is going on with my kid. What do I do? You know what I mean? Like, that's hard. And then, you know, her big sister raised her and she died. Like, my mom had a lot of death, a lot of trauma. Same with my dad. His dad died when he was 18, I believe. So, you know, that's hard. That's hard. And the older I get, the more I see them as human beings that just were really trying to make it in the world. You know what I mean? Like it's tough for all of us. We all deserve a little grace. The majority of us. If you're an abuser, you don't. You know. But you know, I believe most parents are trying the best that they can. You know.
yes, I was thinking like just going over my my experiences with domestic violence. I'm like, you know, thank you to everyone that hurt me because it allowed me to become this person that I am today. Every single experience, you know, and I'm still learning. Like, so when it comes to relationships and things, you know, I definitely have built a wall. And it's hard for me to let anyone in because I'm like, I do have such this piece surrounding my life that letting someone in could disturb that.
You want to
know?
protect it. Yep.
But in healing and like I finally in my life did have someone that could love me right. But I was not in a place of loving myself fully and completely yet. And so I messed that up, you know, and I can say that like it wasn't what I was used to and I didn't know how to handle it. So I ruined it. And that was even in sobriety.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that.
Self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage, yeah.
I do it all the time. Still, I'm still a struggle with that. You know, it's hard. You want to read some comments?
Yes. Desi, will you scroll up a little bit?
Desi, will you read them?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, my bad.
You're good.
Read Theta's. Oh, that's my Auntie Theta. I love Auntie Theta. Yeah, she's awesome.
Theta Orange says, "Good morning, ladies. In my studies, becoming a lay minister, I was totally be spiritual. You have to be at peace with yourself. You have to accept the creator, not carry hate, angry, or animosity. You have to walk away. It's a place in your spirit and soul to be free of the worldly ways."
That's very true.
Nice words, Theta.
Yeah, thank you, Theta.
That's beautiful.
Perry Blackwolf says, "Grand rising, ladies."
Grand Rising.
Rising has been grand.
Karen Dollar, good morning.
Good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
Morning, sisters.
Frida Ray says, "Mental health is a very big thing for me. All things only through Father God, Creator, or our higher power. Healing from the inside out and stay in faith and prayer."
Mhm.
Thank you for that, Frida. Sharon Beard, thank you for sharing your experiences.
What's the first letter? First one.
I know I just skipped over that. I didn't want to butcher it, but I'll try. Kikoraris?
Greatly.
Ruth Bearshill says, "Good morning, ladies. You ladies are braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Keep your head up, shoulders back, and walk like you own this, because you are the daughter of the Most Highest." Proverbs 31:25. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. That was so beautiful, Ruth. Just spoke life into everyone.
Yes.
Cassandra did her princess wave. Did you see her?
Good morning, Kimberly. And your mom's right here, Bentley. Lainey says, "Thank you for sharing. I'm healing from my past also. Everything does feel like a fever dream. I'm having a tough day, so I'm
Aw.
thankful to have come across this live."
Good.
Aw,
We
glad you're
we
better.
we are sending you love, Lainey.
Yes.
Niakit, daughter Cassandra. Charlene McAdee. From 12 years of age, I used off and on. I managed to get my associate's and bachelor
Mhm.
degree and held my LTC admin license for 9 years. I built up a home for my kids. I became a single mother in 2011. My fears and self-doubt took me into my addiction full time. It only took me 2 years to lose everything. Treatment taught me face my childhood, and now I finally understand where I went wrong. I had no faith. When my life got hectic, I made sure I made it worse instead of turning to Creator.
Oh, I
Mhm.
relate to that. Absolutely.
That's where a lot of my healing has come from. Is doing shadow work
Oh yeah.
and going back and healing those events.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And sitting down and talking to those people that had a hand in that trauma
Yep.
and releasing them.
Yep.
And forgiving them.
Mhm.
That is the tough part.
That is
For me, that is so hard. I don't think I've fully forgiven my daughter's dad yet. I know I should, but man, it's tough.
Sharon McCart says, "Good morning from OKC. Been sober for 27 plus
Yay.
years."
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of one days at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen, you are all such inspiration. So relatable. Thank you for this, for sharing.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Charlene says, "I have 2 adult children. My baby is 16. They have good days and uncertain days. I have to actively respond to them with only positive things because I think it's important to teach them it's not a bad day, or it's a bad day, it's life. And living in how we respond to the responsibilities of our lives is where the focus should be, not in the pursuit of a finish line." God, I'm parched, need a drink of water. Me too.
I tell myself that all the time. It's just a bad day, not a bad life, you
Mhm.
know, and tomorrow is a reset and we get a whole nother, you know, God willing, we get a whole nother chance to make things better and
Mm-hmm.
that really helps me.
Good morning, Tina Stevens. She
morning,
says,
Tina.
"Stay strong, girls." And good morning, Shelly Yates.
Good morning, Shelly.
Morning.
We're sending Shelly love too. She's got a big
Yes.
day coming up, and we support her.
Absolutely. Shelly, I was talking to her about how discouraged I was about therapy, and she was like, you know, once you get in there, just hang on because it's going to be really good. You know, it's hard to begin,
It is.
and so I appreciated her support in that, and
Mm-hmm.
her and I always have good talks.
Shelly says, I do too. I love Shelly so much. She says, forgiveness is not a one and done thing. Forgiveness is something we have to practice over and over again. That is very true. Very true.
Yes.
Good morning, Drew. Thomas, brother.
I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to talk about.
Oh, I do have one thing because you know we're talking about healing, or how that all turned into healing. But in the process, like we get so fixated on the goal and want to hurry through it, but don't get so caught up in it that you want to do it all at once.
Mhm.
You know, that's where, and I've learned from my experience in working with other people that when we try to do it all at one time, we get discouraged
Mm-hmm.
and we fall back, never finishing or going through it,
Mm-hmm.
just going
Right.
around it. And every time we go around it, we're going to keep repeating that cycle over and over again. So just do one thing at a time.
God, I feel like Cassandra is talking directly to me today. I really needed to hear that. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
One thing at a time, you know, it's baby steps.
Yep.
Yes. It all didn't happen to us overnight, you know.
Mm-hmm.
One big thing. Just one thing at a time.
Yep. Thank you, sister.
I need to hear that too because I do. My brain is so all or nothing. Just
Oh, yeah.
that's who I am, you know, and so living that way, it's like you do. Sometimes you have to pull yourself back and look at everything and then be like, okay, I'm going to start here, you know. And that goes with ADHD and
Yeah.
and all the other things, you know. Oh, you sent me those for Zoom meetings on Sunday, you know. And I hopped in a Zoom meeting that I thought was a like Wellbriety, you know, talking circle, drugs and alcohol, or you know, just recovery. And I actually it was the one for healing stress and trauma. Have you been in that?
No, man, I try to, whenever I can, I try to hop on as many Zooms as I can.
Oh my goodness!
When I have
Is
the
it
time,
good?
when I have the freedom. Yeah. Like, I try to get it in where I can get my recovery in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hop in, and there is other alcoholics and addicts in this Zoom meeting, but the facilitator was like, you know, I just deal with stress and trauma, and so she was like, I spoke a little bit about how, you know, I'm a group facilitator or I'm a Wellbriety facilitator with TOR and how I want to do more Zoom meetings to pick up tools and stuff and the things that I can implement with my youth. And so she was like, hey, can you hang out after the meeting? I want to talk to you. Anyways, we start the meeting and we are doing, we did a guided meditation with the flute in the background and her talking. So good. Totally brought, that was when like I was dealing with a lot of uncertainty Sunday night, you know. I thought that I would be starting work this week and things have happened that's not what's happening for me. So just dealing with a lot of uncertainty was causing me anxiety. So I hop in and we do this meditation and then we go around and talk about it. And then everyone shares a little bit about themselves, where they're from, and all of that. And after that, we did another guided meditation, and it was to take you back to your safe space. And it was a visual guided like meditation. And sometimes I have a hard time with that, like, but so I talked to her after, and she was like, there's scholarships for you to get certified in mind body medicine. And so she sent me that, and I applied for the scholarship because she said in dealing with trauma, you know, the scatterbrained and like forgetfulness and things like that, that can be due to a trauma response.
Interesting.
And yeah, just dealing with trauma and things like that, it's like your brain wants you to forget things.
That makes sense.
And so she's like, in doing these practices, you know, your memory will get better, your brain fog will be lifted. And so it was really cool connecting with her. She said that she wants to hop on here and watch us. So we connected through email, over Facebook.
That's awesome.
And all of that.
So there was a
really
reason for you
cool.
to be on that Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
for
cool.
sure. And I joined, or I logged in and joined one, but it never started. So I was like, let me hurry and find another one, you know? And yeah, like
Yeah.
God connected us for
that's cool.
sure. She's a teacher on a res in South Dakota.
Awesome.
So it
Awesome.
was
Awesome. Well, should we end with the challenge?
Yeah.
Or should we come up with a challenge for everyone and for ourselves? I kind of like what she's been leaning towards. And things you've had some good things to talk about this time. Everything that I needed to hear.
I challenge you to focus on one thing at a time.
Yep.
I heard in a meeting once, and this is going to sound crazy, but if you take the time it takes less time. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Meaning, you know, thoroughly and one at a time, you know?
Yep.
One thing at a time.
One day at a time. Sometimes 1 minute and sometimes 1 second. All right. Well, whether you have 1 day sober, 1,000, or you're just now thinking about it, you are worthy of a good life, and I'm sending you love.
You're capable, you're strong, you're loved, and like she said, you're worthy. You're not alone. You don't have to do this alone. Reach out, whether it be to us or another person, but reach out. Just let somebody know what you're going through.
Yep.
I promise you, there's people out here that want to help you.
Yep. I agree with everything that you guys said, and just add to it. Be a little kinder to yourself. Talking to myself too. Give yourself grace. Life is hard, but there are always better days ahead. Always.
In the stream.
Yep.
Okay. Thank
Have a
you
good
for
day.
tuning in.